This is Believe in Buckeyes. I'm Brian Browning with All-American cornerback Chekwa. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. We got a very special guest because it is finally game week. We got David Pollack of C-Ball Get Ball podcast here, joining the Believe in Network here. I don't know, a handful of months ago or so now, but we're very excited that we got David with us. How you doing out there, man?
Doing great, man. Good to be on. And yes, it is great to have football, boys. Real life football. Come on.
Yeah, real life football, and to get started, a big time game, right? Big time game to start off the college football year for Ohio State. So I'm pumped up. I'm super excited. Really looking at a lot of new things on the Ohio State front in terms of players, and then Texas as well. I'm interested, David. How much have you kind of followed the offseason of those two teams and what they bring to the table here early on?
This is all we do, brother. So that we do this a lot. No, this is what we've been following all year, man. Just watching these teams, and you watch the transfer portal, and you watch the additions, and you watch the subtractions, and then the coolest thing about these teams is, man, y'all know this playing the game. Like when you have a team that's less than a challenge to start the year, like say that you opened with Ohio instead of Texas, like y'all play a couple weeks later, like. The bar isn't as high. Like the off season, you don't work as hard. I mean, you just don't focus as hard. And it's not a disrespect to them, but you're way more talented and you're going to beat them. You're going to win in the end. So I think having a team out the gate like Texas, the off season is more focused. It's more pointed. Having leaders on your team like Caleb Downs is exceptionally beneficial. Like that dude, he comes to my golf tournament every year. He's from right down the road here in Georgia, and he's just built different. Like he's a stud, man. Like I love that kid. Just he's not a kid. He's a grown up. He's more mature than I am at his age. So it's impressive to watch, and I think that will help with the transition. But man, you pay attention to all of it, and they get the show at week 1 in a huge debut. 1 versus 3, both of them getting preseason poll #1 ranking. So it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. So I guess let's get right into it. As you say, you do this week in and week out, right? Obviously, you're a college football Hall of Famer. So if anybody know ball, David, you know ball. When you're looking at what Arch brings to the table, can he get there? Is he that guy that everyone is kind of hyping him up to be the essentially #1 pick going into the draft, the #1 quarterback in college football? Can he reach those heights in your opinion?
I think he can. I'm not ready to say that. I think it's a perfect culmination of being a Manning, being at Texas going to Final Fours in the last 2 years, and everything at Texas, growing and building. But, he didn't show you anything a year ago that said, like, he is the superstar. Now, he had flashes in his 2 starts with, throwing the deep ball. You're like, okay. He had flashes with his legs that were like, dang, okay. He's definitely the most athletic Manning. So I think you saw some good things. Here's another thing. If you follow this game long enough, you start to trust coaches. So you Ohio State people, you feel the same way. You trust your coach to provide great quarterback play because that's what you do. I mean, you go back to the lineage. There's very few misses. There's very few. Like Kyle McCord is the outlier from the last whatever seasons that you want to go back with Ohio State of like just elite quarterback play. It's no different for Texas with Sarkisian. Like Steve Sarkisian is that guy. He knows how to pull the strings. He knows how to make the game very easy. He doesn't overcomplicate it, but he puts his quarterback in a position to succeed. Texas has weapons, just like Ohio State. Offensive line, rebuilding, retooling, a lot of pieces up front that they got to figure out. But I think they're going to be really good. They bring in some transfers at wide receiver and tight end. You don't know them, but you'll know them. Like you'll figure them out. They'll be big names. You'll be like, where did he come from? Golly, that dude's really good. So I think the offense will be good. I think the offense will be better than it was a year ago. It was a pretty good offense. But the biggest thing about Texas is their defense. Yeah. They're the best defense in the country. So like you can split it however you want. Anthony Hill's one of the best linebackers in the country. Colin Simmons, one of the best edge players in the country. Like we can go to Taft in the secondary. We can go to all the different positions. Like they're really good. System is in place. Recruited at a high level. Both coordinators have been there with these guys for an extended period of time. So it's going to be an extreme challenge for Ohio State out the gates.
Yeah, I want to kind of stay there because you talk about Texas defense. We saw, Texas' last game was against Ohio State, so we saw some of what that defense was capable of. They bring a lot of guys back. They've added to their defensive line in the transfer portal and others. And then on the Ohio State side, you have a new quarterback. You have some new running backs in the fold, right? But you mentioned coaches, what we expect from coaches. And as you mentioned, I expect Ryan Day to put out a talented quarterback who develops into potentially a first-round pick at some point, right? But this is week one, right? This is week one. But this is where the challenge comes for Ohio State in that, you have a new offensive coordinator in Bryant Hartline, a guy we played with. And then you have Ryan Day really beginning the Saiyan era to be able to go out there against one of the most, so what you say is probably the best defense in the country. I don't know. I might say Ohio State's the best defense in the country, but that's mostly my bias, right? That's mostly my bias.
We're biased, right?
100% your bias, yes.
From your perspective, the challenge that Ohio State faces with new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, and that offense operating against a talented Texas defense, what do you think the key for Ohio State is to be able to get the win and put out an offense that can be effective and edging out a Texas defense?
Well, let's start with the good. Let's start with the great, all-time good, Jeremiah Smith.
Right.
It's nice to retool and reload and rebuild with the best player in college football and maybe the best freshman we've ever seen in our life. So that's a great place to start. So fundamentally, whoever plays quarterback, whoever calls play, 4 works. What's the route? 4. What's the play? 4. I'm in trouble, throw it to 4. So that's the good thing. But there's a couple of reasons to, if you're a fan, there's a couple of reasons to doubt Ohio State this year. Now I'm not saying doubt them to win 10 games. They're going to win 10 games. To me, it's a matter of, do they win 11? Is that the number that they get to? So new coordinator, what did you see last year? I'll tell you what I saw last year. I saw elite offensive coordinator status. Elite. A guy in Chip Kelly that completely changed what they were, who they were when you had Simmons go down at left tackle, completely changed who you were as an offense, because offensive line, you couldn't get it done, man. You weren't pushing people around. And 2 of those guys, one's gone obviously, and then Donovan got drafted. So the offensive line to me is another place where we'll go to next. The running backs to replace 2 dudes that could touch it and go the distance at any point in time. There's a lot to replace, man. There's a lot. And if we didn't have 4, I think this would be a totally different conversation. And if we didn't have the past history of what Ohio State quarterbacks are, I think Saiyan is going to be really good. I know he's got a quick release. I know he's going to have good accuracy, but you're right. He's got to do it week 1 and against a really good defense. So I think it's, both coordinators being replaced. I think I got to see some of this, man. What does it look like? What does it develop into? And much credit to Ohio State and Texas, throwing it out there week 1 like this. I love that they're willing to go do this. And both these teams probably feel very confident about making the playoff. And I would argue this game is a lot more important for Texas than it is for Ohio State, because Texas's schedule's not going to be fun. Ohio State, at least you get Penn State at home. I know you go at Illinois, you got Michigan, who's tough to play every single year, but the schedule sets up pretty dang well for Ohio State. That's why I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to get the rest of the season. Texas has got a little bit more difficulties and a few more challenges. But man, kudos to both the teams for what they're coming out the gates with.
Yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense, because me as a fan, obviously I'm cheering for Ohio State. I think we could win the game, but like you say, it's not really the end of the world if we go out, play well, but we know, we just don't get it done because of the playoffs, right? Back in the day, every game was a playoff. Now you have an actual playoff with a lot of teams get in. Ohio State can kind of play themselves back into that position. But I want to kind of touch on the offensive line, because like you stated, it's new, it's different.
Yeah.
But, I'm the offensive line guy here on this podcast between you two. So, watching the guys, I think we got a lot of depth there, a lot of talent, a lot of guys that can kind of go out there and get it done. Now, we have to see it. Like you say, Colin Simmons is coming, and we know what type of speed and power he brings off the edge. But I want to kind of hit a little bit about Texas offensive line. I believe they're bringing in 4 new starters as well.
Yep.
Do you think there's a chance that, and obviously when last game of the season, the offensive line essentially let them down, right? And that was the nod for Ohio State to kind of get that victory. Do you know anything about that bunch? Is it a good bunch, experienced bunch, or is it something that you think Ohio State could maybe exploit a little bit, getting them on the road with a younger offensive line?
Man, y'all know this. I'm preaching to the choir. the hardest thing to do in college football is play on the road, especially for an offensive lineman,
Exactly.
especially with the crowd noise going crazy, trying to communicate 100%. And one of the guys that was battling for that starting spot, he went down with a knee injury in camp. So Texas has already taken one shot there to their depth. So yeah, I think they're all highly recruited guys, just like Ohio State, but the experience isn't there. I mean, now there's a shoot ton of experience around those guys, and that obviously helps. The difference between Ohio or Texas's offensive line, where I might say I might have a little bit more confidence, is because of last year. What were you able to do at Ohio State with the offense? You had Will Howard's legs. Will Howard's legs were huge. Saying I don't think is that type of athlete, and I know he's not that big and strong. So I'll be very interested to see how that works in the run game. You can immediately have speed going one direction, Arch pull it and run the football. So I think you'll see smart use of Arch Manning's wheels and his ability to run the football to get a little bit of advantage, to settle them in, especially early in the season. That will be something I think that they'll have to do. But no, they're just as big of a question mark up front with their offensive line as Ohio State is. And so those are the answers when you get those answers on the road. And to go week one on the road, that is not a fun assignment.
Yeah, you hit on that, Arch Manning using his legs. And I think, on the defensive side of the ball, you mentioned new coordinator and Matt Patricia, and then also a lot of new defensive linemen, right? All new starters on defensive line for Ohio State. I think what we saw in that playoff game is the ability to contain and really slow down the run from Ohio State and not have to commit a lot of guys to do it, right? They didn't have to send a bunch of extra blitz. They could play mostly coverage. It seemed like offensively, Texas, most of their gains were check downs and, short passes that became bigger gains. From a Ohio State defensive side of the ball, Matt Patricia coming into college, I mean, I don't know when the last time he coached in college, Syracuse, maybe 20 years ago.
Been a hot minute.
So what I'm interested in, I want to get your perspective on this. Him coming into college, even though I have an expectation that he's going to do great and he's going to be able to get those guys playing at a high level, again, is week one. How much does he implement in week one to be able to handle the rushing attack? And how much does he focus on really containing Arch Manning and being able to slow? Because I honestly think a key to Ohio State really being able to slow down his offense is being able to stop the rushing and being able to handle both the running backs and that quarterback. And I think an easy way for Texas to really get going on the road is just being able to run the ball consistently against Ohio State.
Yeah, I think it's a legit question mark for Ohio State is both coordinators, man. Like I think if you gave me Chip and you gave me Knowles, I would feel so much better about what they're walking into this season. And I think y'all will too, because that was the best 1-2 punch in all of college football. Like it was the best 1-2 punch at the coordinator position. And so with that being gone, it's a little more unknown. Here's what I like about Patricia. I like that the college game has become more and more like the NFL. The lengthened season, like he's used to that, like dealing with more games, dealing with that stuff. I think that's a good thing. But I don't know what this defense is going to look like. Y'all loved it with Knowles. But again, I'm going to do the same thing that I did at the offensive side of the football. You've got the best defensive player in all of college football. Like that's a great place to start, man. I mean, because here's another thing too. Like I don't need 11 elite players on defense. I don't need 11 elite players on offense. Like, but speaking from a defensive perspective, like I need a couple ballers, a couple go-getters, a couple of dudes that they make plays and they're outside the X's and the O's. It's about them. It's about being elite. It's about freestyling a little bit. It's not about being in the right gap all the time. Like I was allowed some liberties at Georgia because I would make plays. So you're allowed to do some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Caleb Downs can make plays all over the field. Like he is so good in coverage. He's so good against the run. You could spin him down at backer if you want to. He's got so much versatility that he's the ultimate chess piece about where you want to move him. So that's what makes you feel better is having that guy. That's really fun. And then, listen, losing JT and losing Sawyer, like those guys, man, just so many snaps, so good, so physical, so tough, in the right spot, like leadership. And if we go back to that Texas game a year ago, like that wasn't Ohio State lighting Texas up. They didn't light them up. They scored 21 points.
Yeah.
Scored 21 points. The defense scored 7, right? Sawyer got that It took him 35 seconds, but he got all the way across the field and scored on that fumble, right? Like he got in the zone. So, I mean, I think that it's just that's the beauty. This shows you how much respect there is for Ohio State and what they've done. The fact that they're ranked this high with 14 guys drafted, which is a record in the history of college football. 14 guys drafted, lose both coordinators, and you're still in the top 3. Like, that says everything you need to know about the talent that's at Ohio State and what everybody believes in this program.
Yeah. Now, Dad, I want to kind of take it a little bit outside of the game a little bit. Obviously, you're an SEC guy. You're from Georgia, and all the records and things you've done there. Obviously, we Big Ten guys, and we have our own biases on how the conferences kind of align, right? First off, I guess it's a 2-part question. One for Texas. Obviously, this is just their second year in the SEC. Have they done enough for you guys to put your arm around them, even though Georgia beat them twice last year? Throw that out there. And secondly, the way things have lined up over the last couple of years, obviously the last two national champions being from the Big Ten, is there a swing here in college football on, the level of things and your perspective on, just who's the best, who's the top conference, top teams in college football?
First of all, you won the last 2 championships. Like, respect deserves to be played. And here's another thing too. Like, there used to be a huge discrepancy in draft. When you looked at the draft, it was like overwhelmingly first round picks, straight SEC. Like, Big Ten was way down here. And now, like, you see the Big Ten wasn't that far off this year. Like, it was within like 5 first place or first round draft picks. Like, that's the talent is the talent is spreading across the country more than we've ever seen it now. So, like, here's the biggest difference to me why the Big Ten is better. The Big Ten with expansion, I mean, they got way better. Like, the bottom half of the Big Ten is still the bottom half of the Big Ten. And you're not, I don't care what show you're on or whatever conference you want to talk to or whatever conference you want to talk about. There's a lot of teams in the SEC that you don't want to see, that you don't want to play. There's very few that you go, man, they're really terrible. Like, they can't beat us. And I think in the Big Ten, you've got more of those teams. Like, you've got several teams. Ohio State can play their C game in a lot of games and still be just fine. But when you throw in Oregon and you throw in USC and UCLA and Washington, by the way, Washington's going to be really good this year. If people don't realize that, they're going to see it when the season comes around, because I think they'll be much improved this year. They might double their win totals and be a team that people start to respect a lot more, because they got a trio at running back, quarterback, and wide receiver that can probably rival just about anybody in the country. So I think it's a conference that's definitely been growing. And the difference between the SEC, the Big Ten, and everybody else, it's huge, right? Like, it's definitely they run the sport now, and they're making the decisions now. But I think the only debate people are going to legitimately have, and I would love to hear you guys' opinion. Like, if you took all the teams and you said the teams that could beat you on any given Saturday, I guess Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever days we're playing nowadays. Like, I think the list in the Big Ten is a lot shorter than the list in the SEC. There's more teams. Like, I think the SEC is more wide open this year with really good play, but I don't have a team that I'm going, yes, I'm all in on them. Like, I think I can do that with the Big Ten, and I can give you 3, but for the SEC, I could legitimately give you 8, like 8 or 9 that I think could at least be in the mix to go play for a conference championship. And I would argue probably more.
Yeah, I don't think it's that long, honestly, for the SEC. I think the SEC has a much. I think they're a deeper conference in the Big Ten. I agree with that point. But I think the teams that are near the top, or kind of top tier, mid tier, change every year. But we don't find out till about midseason who it is, right? Like, some of these brands, like a University of Florida, like a South Carolina, like a Tennessee, right? They look pretty good because they have some history. And then the year comes and we find out, oh, this year is going to be South Carolina. It's not going to be Tennessee, right? And I think that happens every season. But I do think, I think the SEC is deeper. I think they do have a lot more. I think they have more teams in that mid to, mid-tier level than
I love
the
that you
Big Ten.
don't have a bias. I love that you can admit that. Just like I can admit the Big Ten is really, really good football conference. But, like, when you say that, just think about that. What you just said, Tennessee, they might not be great, but they just made it to the college football playoff, right? Like, and you look at LSU, they could get there. A&M could get there. Like, Ole Miss was so close. South Carolina was so close. Like, you think about the teams that have lost their real luster. Like Mississippi State, ain't nobody clowning nobody. Like, Mississippi State is not a perennial power. Nobody expects anything from them this year. Arkansas, probably low standards expected. Vanderbilt, not really high perspective. Kentucky, everybody else in that conference can beat you. On any given day, everybody else in that conference can beat you. When we go to the Big Ten, that ain't the same conversation. Now, the top can compete 100,000,000% twice on Sundays, every day of the week. The top absolutely can compete and beat anybody. But when you start to go to the bottom tier, I just don't think those other teams are going to – there's a lot more teams that ain't really going to put up that much of a fight. But there are good teams too, man, like Iowa, model of consistency. Like PJ Fleck, Minnesota, love the program. Absolutely love what they do year in and year out. Do they have elite talent? No, but they freaking develop, man. Like, they're a good squad. And now Indiana takes a huge jump last year. I think Indiana's here to stay. Illinois, I think Illinois is here to stay. Like, Nebraska, can they get back up? But then you got the Marylands and the UCLAs. And obviously Wisconsin's really down. Purdue's down. Northwestern, Michigan State. Like, all those teams, you know, I want to see those teams. They've had moments in the past before, but I'd love to see them be, you know, more consistent and be good teams on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the Illinois and Nebraska, I think because of their coaching, I think those are teams that are here to stay. Never getting to that elite level, but also not falling too far below that mid tier. There's one team that I think has a roster, and I want to get your perspective on this team. They have a roster that's built for a national championship. They have the coaching that is also built for a national championship. But I always call them a second-tier Big Ten team. That's Penn State. All right. I see Penn State as a team that they've taken the formula of Ohio State and Michigan, keeping some of those good guys there for another year. Yeah. They brought in Jim Knowles from Ohio State. Obviously, they've had an issue with beating Ohio State. They bring Jim Knowles over from Ohio State to lead the defense. But to me, they always feel like a team that operates better as an underdog or as a team that everybody forgets about. But when they're thrust into the spotlight, like they are this year, as a team that's, you know, one of the teams to beat, I just think they fall short. I want to get your perspective overall on Penn State and their opportunity to go all the way or just compete for a national championship at that level.
I'm buying the Nittany Lions. I'm buying the stock. Let me ask you this question and answer this question for me honestly. Okay, we talk about Penn State. You talk about them. First of all, I cannot defend James Franklin's top 5 record against top 5 opponents. It's not good. It's very ungood. I can't defend that. But let me ask you a question. In those games, how many times has he ever had more talent on the field?
Not very much.
That's a good point. Yeah,
doesn't happen. They don't line up with Ohio State and go, clear talent advantage. Like, I'm a high school football coach, guys. I'm a really good coach when I got good players. Like, when I got better players, I can slap you. Like, I'm better than you. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. So I think that's a little bit unfair. This year, it's not. That ain't no excuse. That ain't no excuse for Penn State, man. Like, they've got a bunch of dudes back with experience. They've got and at the right spots, man. Like, you got your quarterback who's played a ton of ball. Like, you got some running backs that you can lean on. You got a defensive coordinator now who's one of the best in the country, hands down. Y'all have experienced that. Like, here's what makes Penn State different to me this year than in the past. The experience, like we just talked about. But here's the second thing. What did Ohio State say what did I say last year they had? They had the best 1-2 punch at coordinators in the country. Penn State has that now. Penn State's got that. Andy Koltanecki is a superstar on the offensive side of the football. Like, they had very little wide receivers last year to brag about. Very little. Like, they were not good on the outside. But what did he do? Okay, I'll use my tight end. My tight end's a superstar. And they did an unbelievable job. So I think second year in the system with him, Jim Knowles, get that defense a little bit better, grow as it goes along. The talent discrepancy, I would say, between Ohio State and Penn State is as even as it's been now because of all the guys that return, all the experience, the coaching on both sides of the football now. Like, James Franklin's got a CEO on offense. He's got a CEO on defense. So now, like, the game's played in Columbus. That's not good for Penn State. If they rematched in Indianapolis, that could be a different story. So I'm high on the Nittany Lions. I think this year is definitely one of those years that I believe in them. I believe in their coaching staff. I believe in the right players coming back at the right time. And I'm not upset with that schedule, guys, because go ahead and find me some losses, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't see, I'm not going to sit there and go like, oh man, they got 4 or 5 tough games. Like, they've got way more talent than everybody they play except for 2 matchups this year.
And now to kind of put you on the spot and kind of wrap up here. FanDuel has Ohio State as the favorite, 2.5 points favorite versus Texas going into this weekend. Also with an over/under of 47.5. I want to just real quick get your pick, and also where will we end up on that over/under, and who do you think that favorite?
I don't gamble. I don't know anything about gambling.
We're not big gamblers either.
I ain't learned that world yet. Man, it's too hard for me to make money to give it away. It's just a tough deal for me. I'm just telling you.
I hear you.
but here's the thing. Here's something to know about. I've learned a lot over the years about the point spread stuff because we talk about it ad nauseum now. You get 3 for home field advantage. So the fact that the number's at 2.5 should tell you something. Like, that means these teams are very even. Like, very even. And maybe obviously Texas is the number 1 team. So people think Texas is number 1. I think it's just a perfect showdown. I think whoever can replace those pieces the fastest. I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I don't. I think both defenses are going to be really good. I think both quarterbacks being broken in a big moment, one on the road, one at home, which is still a tough place to play because Ohio State fans don't get a few first downs, Julian, and it ain't gonna look good. I mean, so I think it's going to be I don't know about the gambling purposes, but I think it's a low scoring game. Texas has more back that I know about, so I would probably lean Texas. But Texas last year came into the home of the national champion Michigan Wolverines a year ago. Went up there, took care of business, and now they get a second chance to visit a national champion in their place.
Yeah, they made that game look easy too. Yeah, Chim, real quick on the spot, throw out a pick, throw out a score.
You got anything? You can hit me with anything you want, dog.
I agree with the lower score. I think they might be the under. I mean, it doesn't. I think Ohio State's going to win the game, and I think it really comes down to the defenses. What defenses outplays the other. I think Ohio State being able to hold the Texas run game to limited opportunities is what really gets them to win at the end of the day.
Tell me about Julian saying you believing in him as replacing Will Howard in this offense and what he needs to be.
I am. I'll take it first, Chim. Yeah. So just real quick, he came in with a great head on the shoulders. What you want to hear from any great, high school guy coming to college. Came in with a great head, willing to learn, and everyone speaks on his talent. So now he got to show the world his talent. And obviously, we get to see it in some practices and things of that nature. But now it's time for him to show it. So if it's me, I think he'll hold on to it, go out there and play well, and kind of put his name up there with some of the greats around college football.
He throws a beautiful football. I mean, he is if you're choosing a quarterback for Ryan Day, he's the exact type of quarterback that you want in a Ryan Day system. And I think the exact type of quarterback that Ryan Day would want to put out there to get the ball to all that talent on the outside. My only concern is week 1. Right. I remember having my week 1, right? And I feel like my feet didn't touch the ground till like the second half, right? Which is not what you want for the quarterback. But yeah, I think long term throughout the season, his development and growth is going to be special to watch. I actually think, just watching him throw the ball, I'm like, wow, this is a special talent. And as long as he can handle everything else that comes with being on Ohio State quarterback, I think he's going to be one that's a great here at Ohio State.
Here's my last thing, and then we'll get out of here. Mine is last year. I think the most undersold part about this team was Will Howard's legs, because if we're being honest, the offensive line was very average, like very average. A lot of those guys are back, a year more experience. That doesn't mean you're a great player all of a sudden. So. Like, just because you're experienced and you come back. So I'm excited to see maybe some new faces, obviously transfer portal, recruiting, developing. But that better turn into a strength, because he is not the athlete that Howard is. He is not the size that Howard is that could break tackles. Like, when you started to get in the red zone, good luck. Like Jeremiah Smith, Ibuka, Travion Henderson. I mean, Judkins, just Will Howard, like, just pick one. Flip a coin and you were going to get beat. And now all those names I mentioned, besides Jeremiah Smith, are gone. And so just super curious to see how it unfolds and how they do. But, I mean, Ohio State, it says everything you need to know about their program and how great everybody thinks they are and how great they've been, because they're still at number 3 with 14 players drafted. 14, not 5, not 7, 14.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, the tight end room at Ohio State is a really good room. The addition of Max Clare coming in, he's going to be a key weapon for Ohio State to be able to utilize him. Now, I mean, it comes down to getting him the ball, but I think what Ohio State was able to do in continuing to upgrade that tight end position is going to be key, especially with the weapons on the outside as well.
Yeah, you'll need that if he's because you losing Ibuka. Obviously, Tate's good moving up, and Chris Henry Jr. ain't there yet. He'll be there next year.
That's right. We got to keep reloading. That's right. But David, we really appreciate the time. We really appreciate time for our guys out there. Please feel free to lock in with David on See Ball, Get Ball on his pod. I believe you go live on Monday nights, I think, every week or so, something like that.
Something like that.
Tune in to my guy.
I'm learning this world like you guys are, man. We're definitely doing the YouTube and the live shows, and now it's here, man. So now we get to talk about all the good stuff. Like this game next week, we'll be breaking it down, and all of us, obviously, the world will be falling for one set of fan bases, whoever that is. It'll be like, they suck. God, they're terrible.
But that's college football. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. But Chim, we're gonna end this show as always. David, you can participate or you can. It's up to you. But we're going to end the show as always with a nice OH.
If I was Desmond Howard, I would know what it said. Desmond Howard, I saw for years and years. Every time he said OH, he did not end it the way you guys would like.
Nah.
I would say IO.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. This was fun. We got to link up some maybe later time in the year. Maybe we see each other in the playoffs or something of the sort. We do something.
Yes, sir.
there.
Absolutely. Appreciate
we
y'all.
Appreciate the time.
Keep doing it, guys.
Thanks.